folks, if you'll just gather around a little closer now. Come right in a little closer. That's it. That's fine, folks.
You know, when you got Canelo Alvarez potentially fighting May the 4th 2 weeks later, you know, why not go to another massive market for that fight? So I think New York's always dying out for big fights. That's a massive fight. I expect it to sell out very quickly.
So basically, Devin versus Ryan was scheduled for Vegas. But because Canelo is looking to tie down that Cinco de Mayo date, they've took the fight away from Vegas and further away from that May the 5th date. And they've changed the location to New York.
You want a battle? Well, I live in New York.
So Canelo run them off the spot, basically. No shame in that. So April the 20th, BARCLAY Center. Devin Haney defends his WBC 140-pound title for the first time against Ryan Garcia. And the Boxing Voice are telling us that it will not be pay-per-view in America, which is good news for the punters. Not confirmed officially. And you got to give the zone props for that. You know, this is a fight they could have easily put on pay-per-view. Canelo with his 35 million guarantee, his fight will definitely be on pay-per-view. $80 minimum. Who's he going to fight? The PBC do not want Jamal Charlo because he doesn't ensure the type of numbers that can cover Canelo's huge 35 million guarantee. They want Jaime Munguia, apparently not confirmed, but that's the word around the boxing landscape. They want Jaime Munguia, who is not a PBC fighter. He's a DAZN fighter, a Golden Boy fighter, which means the PBC do not have leverage. Yeah, they don't have leverage. And it's a damning indictment on the American boxers they have on there that they can't get Crawford the Canelo fight. And I believe Crawford would do better numbers than Jamal. What is Crawford going to do at the PBC? But he's not getting the Canelo fight. The fans and the media, from what I've seen, they don't want to see Jamal fight Canelo. But Canelo is insistent, even though the PBC must be hinting that, look, we can't sell that fight. You know, like, Canelo have to get used to punching Mexican fighters in their face because the demographic of fighters he wants to face cannot ensure that he gets them guarantees, them huge guarantees. None of the fighters, in Al Heyman's opinion, can move the needle enough for them to get out of the red in this event. So they need to do some serious development. They need to get their fighters active. That's what they need to do. They said that there's been no boxing at the Barclay Center for over a year. Well, that's not surprising with the inactivity of the PBC fighters in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, that arena used to be the hub of activity with a lot of PBC fights on there. That became the spot, but recently the ring must be collecting dust. If it is true, and it hasn't been confirmed that it's Jamal or bust, if it is true, it's horrible cherry picking. Charlo's had one fight in 2.5 years against Jose Benavidez, and that wasn't defending that title, that 160-pound title that is well overdue he was stripped of. One fight in 2.5 years. Arguably, he hasn't looked good since 2020 when he beat Derevyanchenko, defending that middleweight title. I mean, you gotta throw Al Heyman a bone. He's got to sell your fight. That's a difficult fight to sell. And all this, he's not gonna fight Mexicans. Does his Mexican fan base share this same train of thought? We don't want Canelo to fight other Mexican fighters. I think it's finally kicked in, and Benavidez is realizing the Canelo fight wasn't meant to be his. Now, Canelo, you know, is a good fighter. Perhaps even a great one. But he has a lot of red flags on his resume, which I'm not going to go into because, you know, it's not I'm afraid of Canelo fans or anything like that. But sometimes you just don't want to deal with the overprotection of certain things that are blatantly obvious. Not just about Canelo, but other fans who do that for fighters they like. Like David Benavidez cannot taunt Canelo into the ring. His dad can't do it. His fans can't taunt Canelo into the ring. That you're ducking, you're scared. That's not going to work. Canelo's going to double down. His fans are going to double down. The pro-Canelo media are going to double down and will defend any decision he makes not to fight David Benavidez or any other fighter. Dimitri Bivol, which is the fight he should be pursuing more than David Benavidez. I mean, it wasn't a close loss. He was washed on the scorecards. He's not trying to go back and avenge that, you know. David Benavidez made $3 million against Caleb Plant. It's a lot of money, and he's not a champion. And they were pursuing a $7 million minimum for the Andrade fight. I don't know how much he got, but David Benavidez is making money, and he's not a world champion. Now, understand this here. If you go back to the Black Murderers Row fighters in the 40s and 50s, the reason they were trying to chase, like, let's say Charlie Burley was trying to get a Sugar Ray Robinson fight. It wasn't so he could brag that he beat Sugar Ray Robinson. That was the biggest purse he could get. And, you know, it would give him an incentive to train really hard and perhaps beat Ray, and then he could consistently earn that money because he's in position to. When you're earning the type of money David Benavidez is making, you can cut out your own legacy. David Benavidez can fight anywhere in the world, on any stage he wants. The fighters we're talking about who were boogeymen, Murderers Row, they couldn't do that. They couldn't fight for belts. They couldn't provide for their kids, man. David Benavidez can make his own lane without Canelo. He can make money. He can win title belts anytime he chooses to. He's a big super middleweight. They're talking about he might move up to light heavy and take on Gvodzyck for the WBC interim, and he'll be in line to face the winner of Bivol Beterbiev if he can beat Gvodzyck. And this is what he should be doing. There's perfectly good fights out there for David Benavidez. The Gvodzyck fight is a good fight. I hope he does take it. I would be glad to see him go in another direction where it's not all based on getting a Canelo fight, because to me, it's tedious, it's boring. If the guy don't want to fight you, he don't want to fight you. Canelo is not bulletproof, but he is enough of a global star. He doesn't have to worry about the perception that he ducked David Benavidez. It is what it is. Yeah? And no, I'm not encouraging ducking or anything ludicrous that I'll be accused of. If I had a pick of who I'd like to see Canelo fight at 168, David Benavidez would be the choice right now. But Gvodzyck is a damn good fight in its own right. Canelo ain't the only ticket in town, bro. David's prospects in a Gvodzyck fight, well, Gvodzyck's 36, and he hasn't been that active in recent years. But Canelo's moved up to 175 twice, and he's fought 2 Eastern Europeans, 2 Russians, I believe, yeah. One of them he had to put a rehydration clause on. He won that one. The other one, he didn't put a rehydration clause on, and he got washed on the scorecards. Gvodzyck is just as talented as Kovalev and Bivol. I know a lot of people who say, oh, Bivol's way better, way better. No, Gvodzyck is just as talented. If David can't get him out of there early, he can win the fight, but he takes a beating. He hasn't had to face the Russians with the technical ability in his career. He hasn't had to face them, especially ones from a higher weight class. So it comes with risks taking on a Gvodzyck, even a 36-year-old Gvodzyck. But that's the path to greatness. You're getting paid well to take these fights, and he should be taking them. I'm not sure if he takes that fight, to be honest, because I'm not sure his team really believe that he can win these type of fights. But at the same time, he's 27. He's probably struggling to make 168, so he might not have no choice but to go up and take on the likes of Gvodzyck, who's got a longer reach than him and is technically better than most of the guys he's fought. These won't be easy fights. Breaking news. They're offering Canelo $55 million to fight David Benavidez. That must be Saudi money, surely. Boy, Canelo, you'll have to start reacquainting yourself with punching your countrymen in the face. If it is the Saudi bag, what did I say? That Saudi bag is going to expose a whole load of fighters.
Nowhere to run to, baby. Nowhere to hide.
In brief, you know what I mean? I don't have much details, but MATCHROOM. They announced that they're doing this prize fighter tournament in Japan, and now Frank Smith is saying they're focused on Africa. I don't know which part of Africa, but it's just constant grind, isn't it? And like, there's no other promotional outlet doing that. And MATCHROOM Boxing are trendsetters.
We come with mad styles and whatever, but what else would you expect from a trendsetter?
And trust me, when they fall off and they start doing garbage shit, I'll point that out as well. Don't you worry. March the 30th, Sofia, Bulgaria. Kubrat Pulev will challenge Manuel CHARR for the vacant heavyweight WBA lesser version title, is what I'm going to call it. Now, the WBA tried to dupe us in 2021, saying they're going to reduce the amount of belts. And, you know, they have got rid of some. But the fact they're making matches like this, we're looking at two guys who between them have challenged maybe 3 or 4 times for the heavyweight title. I remember Manuel CHARR taking on Klitschko, Vitaly, and getting brushed aside. Pulev, he challenged Vitali's brother Vlad, got brushed aside. Challenged Anthony Joshua, got brushed aside. You know, he's a good heavyweight. But he must be, what, 40, late 30s now? The last time I saw him in serious competition, he was getting beaten by Derek Chisora. How come Chisora ain't getting the shot? Chisora hasn't lost. Well, no, he lost to Tyson Fury. But he won his last fight against Gerald Washington. You know, it's not like the winner of that fight is going to be in any kind of position to take on the winner of Fury and Usyk anytime soon. So as I call it, the vacant heavyweight WBA lesser version title. Like, they've been twiddling their thumbs with these straps for the last 15, 20 years. The youngest person I see fight for it was Daniel Dubois. CHARR is 39, former steroid user. Pulev is 42.
Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic.
Man, this shit is garbage.
Did I just see this correctly? KEYSHAWN Davis is prepared to travel to the UK to fight Adam AZIM in a mega sellout fight. Adam AZIM said, yeah, come over. Let's make the fight. Wembley Stadium sellout. Sorry to break it to KEYSHAWN Davis, but no one knows you in the United Kingdom. Nobody. That fight would do well to sell out the O2 or the OVO 12,000. Just being honest, lads. Just being honest. The bigger fight for Adam AZIM is Dalton Smith, yeah? Where the British fan base will make a good night of it. We can't even say we'll wait to hear what Ben Shalom says. I mean, the only person he talks to is Simon Jordan, and the fight's not going to happen. I think because, you know, some of these American boxers seeing this stadium fights over here, they think they can just walk over here into one. Like, KEYSHAWN is not a name in America. You're not a name in America. How are you going to come to Britain and sell out Wembley or have a mega fight with who? If Bob Arum can't get KEYSHAWN a big fight in America, the fuck is Ben Shalom going to do? None of them have a title, a sanctioning body title or anything like that. Like, I can't name an Adam AZIM opponent off the top of the head without looking at BoxRec. If Joe Joyce and Zhilei Zhang are fighting at the Copper Box, and they're way bigger names than them two, what makes you even think you could do Wembley Stadium?
But it was just my imagination running away with me.
Do me a favour.
Now, obviously, it was at Ryan's walking around weights where I saw him the other day. And he looked huge. I didn't even recognize him. He looked absolutely huge.
I'll lend a hand to a teammate. Why not?
But the whole notion of him giving Frank Martin advice on how to beat Gervonta Davis. I mean, Ryan might have fought Tank, but I think he came out of the situation with more trauma than data to pass on to Frank Martin. So I don't know if he can pass information on to Frank. Perhaps he can. He's his stablemate. We'll see. He said they're really good friends. They're really close. He said Frank's got the tools to do it. And the showdown is set for summer. It's not a bad matchup. Frank Martin, 18-0, 12 inside the distance. He's not a big puncher. He's a good boxer fighter. Tank Davis, 29-0, 27 inside the distance. Both men are 29 years of age. Frank, I assume, has reach advantages along with height advantage. No venue, no date. They're targeting this fight for summer. I'm assuming they've released Tank from the ankle bracelet, so he's set to go. It's a good fight. I wouldn't say a pay-per-view fight, though, but we'll see. Only the numbers can justify that. And if Tank can produce numbers without a dance partner like Ryan, then perhaps he could become the face of boxing. So first Tank was supposed to be fighting in London, then he was supposed to be fighting Conor Benn, and we get this announcement here. You know, no Shakur Stevenson, no Devin, no Teofimo Lopez. If he is the face of boxing, maybe it's time we start ditching that title because it's totally underwhelming. It's a good fight. It doesn't look like he's putting any rehydration clauses on Frank yet or anything like that. You know, Bob has made statements that he's going to try and keep fights off pay-per-view. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom and DAZN apparently are not putting Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia on pay-per-view, although I haven't heard it confirmed yet. And if they could do that, that's the way to go. I believe, and this is opinion, this isn't based on study, I believe potentially Haney Garcia will be the bigger fight out of Tank and Frank Martin. I think it's the fight that connects to what could be the more popular demographic, the youth demographic. We'll see.